conversations and storytelling helps us connect with each other, teaches us relatable life lessons, and helps us define who we are as humans. Let's talk. This podcast is focused around women from all walks of life, how we grow, navigate, impact the world that we live in to tell the often untold story. The Rise of Woman is a story of loss, growth, triumph, inspiration, fabulous failure, and all in between. Warning, in this podcast, there is cursing and adult content.
Hello, my name is Destiny McKinney. I'm 34 years old. My zodiac sign is Cancer. Today, I spring cleaned my house and made maintenance fix everything that was broken. And you are listening to LRI Affinity Let's Talk podcast.
Let's talk. That's Destiny. And in this episode, I will have a candid conversation with a wife and mother of four who is a sounding board to her friends and appreciates and loves friendship, who knows and understands the risks and sacrifices that come with getting a terminal degree as a Black woman, and is determined to up the ante on what society says she is and what she can become, and so much more. I have known Destiny since we worked at Houston Tillotson University, and when I met her, I remember the first time I met her because I was like, oh, you're Destiny Thompson, and she's like, McKinney. It was this real thing. She got super sharp with me, and I was like, this motherfucker. She was super sharp, and I was like, okay. So it took a second for me to fill her out, and then right now I'm just so glad that she's in my life and that she's my friend. She is what I would definitely call a rider. She is there. She'll pack up her clan of children and cut for me at any given moment. So there's a lot of different things I know, love, and respect about Destiny, and that's why I have her on the podcast. She gets on my nerves, and I probably get on hers most of the time. And some of our conversations literally consist of, bitch, shut up, and yeah, are you done? Mm-hmm. So, what is a moment that has impacted your life?
A moment.
Mm-hmm.
There are some.
How about that moment? What is that moment?
That moment. I guess the biggest one, and it's cheesy, and also... No, the biggest moment that impacted my life, I can't give you the date, but I can give you exactly where I was standing. I was at Rufus King High School on the north side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was my junior year, and I did not attend high school regularly. I came for basketball practice, and I left. And I was coming in that day in my pajamas to turn in my athletic waiver. Just to turn that in. And to go back to my business. But I was not prepared to stay. And this is how God worked. Because I was on the second floor. And I was walking through the lobby. Through the hallway. And a counselor who I don't even know the woman's name. And I don't even know how she knew who I was. Stepped into the hallway. And it was perfect timing. She walked out in the hallway. Walking past Destiny Thompson. I was like, what do you want? I'm just here to... I need to talk to you. I have Kevin Ingram on the phone. I was like, what? What is he? That was the Upper Bound director from Marquette University's Upper Bound program. And he had been trying to find me because I haven't been to no programming and I fell off the radar. And I picked up the phone in the office and he said, have your ass on 19th and Olive at 3:30. And that's the corner of Rufus King High School. I was like, what? He said, have your ass on 19th and Olive at 3:30. And I was like, man, I'm not going to be at school today. I was just coming to turn in some paperwork. Have your ass on 19th and Olive at 3:30. And so...
And you stopped and looked at the phone first, right? Who is this?
I was like, what? And so I stayed and got in the car with him. And he drove me to Marquette and made me get in my tutoring. And was trying to figure out what was happening to me. And at that time, I was in between housing. I wasn't living at home. I was technically deemed homeless, but staying with my auntie, right? I wasn't staying with my parents, though. Parent at the time. And I was telling what was going on. I was like, I'm tired. And my auntie stayed right on the outskirts where ain't no buses riding. And I'm not about to be walking 10 miles to come to y'all to catch a bus all the way downtown. Well, don't worry about it. I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to take you home. And I was like, no. He was like, no, your ass is graduating and you're going to college. And he made it so that I went to college. So.
Yeah, that is that impactful moment. I can see that and where it's going. I did not know you were a school skipper. So, bam, first learned thing of the evening. Okay, let's see here. What's one thing about you that people fail to realize?
I think more so now people see it because it's become more prevalent. But I think even with undergrad, because I was a student athlete, people put me in a box of being a jock. And I was just basketball, or, oh, she doesn't think past the court. And then when I would say things, they'd be like, oh, and I'm like, what the fuck are you owing for? So, I never dropped basketball. I coach my kids. I like watching it. I'll play, but it's not something that I do all the time. And what's always been in me and the way that I moved is now at the forefront. Basketball was the vehicle that got me to be able to do where I am right now. So
what is this way you move that you're referring to?
My activism and what I do in my community, and the leadership and how I move in those circles, and the fact that I averaged 60% rate of not attending high school. But I'm a doctoral candidate, and I see the need for education as a means towards liberation. And so it's a big piece that I push and that I move with. And basketball was the catalyst, but this was always underlying. It just wasn't fed. It wasn't fed in public school, not in Milwaukee public school.
Liberation of what?
Of all the injustices, Jesus, Lord. Depends on whatever your situation is. Mine was, I grew up on the north side of Milwaukee. I'm an 80s baby, born in 84. The crack epidemic was huge. And you're coming off, these are the babies of the wanderers and dreamers that partook in some of everything. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh yeah, you could try crack. And crack was like, no bitch, I got your back. Mm-hmm. Wasn't no trying, you was stuck. And yeah, it ran through my family. And so that put me in a situation. It was never truly stable because that was always prevalent.
Drugs?
Yeah. And it was my father, he couldn't kick it. When I was little grown up. I don't know what he's doing now, so I can't speak to what he's doing now or, how that situation is. But I know in my formative years, that was a constant. And tried to play like it was recreational, but crack is not recreational.
What's your relationship like with your dad, like currently? Because I know when I was staying with you, there was a relationship that was trying to build, but it was dependent on you being an independent person, being able to facilitate that, I guess you could say. So when we're talking about Black children and their relationships with their fathers versus their mothers, what are those two relationships like for you?
For him right now, it's non-existent. And that's a survival mechanism, because when you go out and you marry and you have children of your own, those become your top priority. While you love and you respect from whence you came, you now have an obligation to what you created. Those kids didn't ask to be here. And so if there's some things that still look and feel the same way they did in the 80s and 90s, it's not going to flow, and it's not going to be around my family. And so it's non-existent, and I'm okay with that. It took me a long time to become okay with that, but I'm fine now. And whenever you say I'm fine now, you're like, you really not, but you're just okay. My mother it is what it is. Like, that's the best way to say it. Like, it is what it is. You really don't know. And it's fucked up because you think it's that, like, you're more liberal in the sense of, oh, we're not going to do what our ancestors did and not talk about shit. But niggas repeat. And that's exactly what's happening in this situation. It's like, especially because the distance too, because my people are still in Wisconsin. I'm here, so a lot of it is FaceTiming and stuff. And you can't really have them deep conversations over FaceTime because then you can hang up on you or lose connection real quick. And so,
but TT Bernie will fly down here real quick to have a conversation.
Oh no, she will knock at your door if some shit's going on in the morning. She'll be there at night. She's done it before.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, there's lots of stuff that's gone unsaid, but even with the unsaid, it's still some talking happening when at one point there wasn't any talking at all.
What's something that overwhelms you in your life right now?
Overwhelming is this damn dissertation. That's what's overwhelming, because I don't feel like writing it. And like, I've written so much for chapter 1, 2, and 3, but not enough to turn in. And I don't feel like I haven't looked at it all semester. I won't click on it. So I guess I'm overwhelmed.
What are you going to do about that?
I'm going to do what all great procrastinators do. And in the 9th fucking hour, I'm going to click all 3 chapters open and crank that bitch out.
What's something that you say that you take for granted? What's something that you think that you take for granted?
I think the biggest one is time right now. And it's crazy because it's not, because I do spend a lot of time with my kids. I spend a lot of time with my family. And that was a big, my husband, like, I told myself I wasn't going to be a statistic, like, just from whence I came, but also going through this doctoral program, it upped the stats for me getting a divorce. And it does not fare well for Black women getting terminal degrees. For some odd reason, it's sad because we less than 3% of the population with terminal degrees.
When you say terminal degrees?
PhD,
okay.
JD. But 9 times out of 10, you lose your partner. And so I was like, oh no, my life's not going to cut off. I'm going to, stay busy. And so we've had our like trials and tribulations, the roughest spots of rough spots. But we, like, even in this season, like, it's turning and shifting. And a lot was because of just being intentional, spending more time, whether we were coaching our kids or trying to make a date night. But it's not that time. It's the time that when I know I could be doing something, I just be sleeping in bed. And I tell myself, Destiny, you do enough already. and I know I could be fucking right. And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to lay here. And then that was like, no, earlier today, my mind is always going. I don't know if cancer is like, my mind
always
will give me 800 scenarios of something happening.
Always.
The worst, the end, the bad. And so I got the worst of scenarios today when I'm cleaning my house. And it's like, something could happen, you'd be a fucking paraplegic. And for some odd reason, one of my other good friends, Yvonne, was like, and Yvonne, I have to write your fucking dissertation for you. And I saw myself be like, because she was fucking up chapter 1. And I was like, all of that happened in literally 30 seconds while I was wiping the fucking window.
Yeah, so you saying that, it makes me feel good but bad for you, because I thought that was only me. Like, cancers, like, our brains, like, literally, I could literally think from A to Z. So you're mother 4, but you've been pregnant a lot more times. And I've gone through this with you probably 3 of the times that it's happened. And when I say it's happened, miscarriages. And let's talk about that. When's the first time you were pregnant? Is that your first birth, or where did it go? And how many times would you be a mother if all your children survived?
So we tried all the years. We weren't even trying. Like, none of these, like, we're not those people like, none of these people were playing.
No.
But they were.
I'm like, bitch, you're pregnant again.
They were not playing. It was just lots of sex and chemistry and body saying, hey, let's make another baby. Funny story, and I was just talking about this earlier today. At 16, I was told I couldn't have kids. You want to find that doctor. Where the hell he's sitting. So yeah, I was told I couldn't have kids at 16. And I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't planning for them, no way. Because I didn't want to have kids. It's funny, I got 4, but it was always, everyone knew, 1, Destiny was leaving Milwaukee. 2, she did not want to have children. And 3, she was going to be doing something like VP style, like upper management. The first piece was like, oh, I'm going to be a sports agent. And and that was just because of where I grew up. I grew up seeing all these teenage pregnancies and like just life. I don't want to say like life cut short, but life changing.
You were uninterested.
And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to. I'm okay. Like, I love playing with them. They're awesome, but I don't want to do that.
Are you enjoying what you're hearing? Follow us on Instagram at LRI Let's Talk.
Okay, so now I meet this person, and this person's goal in life is to be like, yeah, that's all I want to do is have children. Like, that's the goal of life.
And we're talking about Kyrie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kyrie. He, like, knew basketball for sure. Yes, I want to play basketball till my body say I can't play no more. But the next on the list was I want to have kids. I want to be a daddy. And I fell in love with this person, and his dreams became my dreams. And so it was when you're in the Texas heat, there's nothing to do in Austin because you're black. You have lots of sex. And it was crazy because the inauguration, the day that Obama was inaugurated the first time, I went into surgery because they found some cysts on my ovaries, dermoid cysts. So dermoid cysts is basically your body saying, look bitch, we got this, we about to create life and we don't need sperm, let's rock this out, and we're going to just stay attached to the ovary. And so it was like this cyst that literally has hair and
I was about to
teeth.
say, doesn't it have hair and teeth? And it's in like, and there's like, I've seen those on Discovery. Was it Discovery?
It was inside of my body. And I also think they got to play with like birth control and stuff that you were on, because I was one of them people that fell victim to Yaz. And so like since all of that, I have not been on any birth control. I eat all of the babies. And so they pulled out 2 softball size cysts that were on both of my ovaries going across bilaterally. And they pulled it out through my belly button with the use of mesh. And then not even 3 months later, I was pregnant. And it was like, oh, wow. And within, I think the first trip, it was like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. And the second trip, we went back and we had this evil woman that was the ultrasound tech. And it's crazy because her last name had God in the title, in it. And the bitch was evil.
Like Godfrey or something crazy like that, yeah.
And they're not supposed to, techs can't talk to you. They can't tell you anything they see because they are not the doctor. They're supposed to just do it, and the doctor comes in and translates the results. And this heifer's moving through, oh yeah, this isn't going to make it. This one didn't do it. It didn't make it. And Kyrie's pissed. He's like on the side of me like, what the fuck? He's crying because, you know, it's his first child. He's losing it. And he's like, what? How is she? And she's just really cold.
Are y'all already married at this point?
No.
Okay.
Come on.
How long had y'all been together?
We had met in 2008, that February. And so this is 09.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's like upset. He's hurt. And he's just looking at her like, what the fuck? What is your problem? And then she leaves the room. The doctor comes in, and the doctor has a better bedside manner. Black woman. And she's like, hey kid, it's not gonna make it. It's not gonna fly. Where she had said something to the effect of, it's okay, but we got to do these things to get you back on your feet. And so he's pissed, and he takes up with her, you know, the interaction with old girl. So now he's mugging her and making the points for like, I need you to see me, see you, see me. And I was just like, come on, boy, let's go. And so I had to deal with that. And it was crazy because like they sent you home with this stuff and you had to pass it at home. So you just wait. And I'm just like, any moment now. 6th story, I passed it in a Walmart bathroom. Random.
Did you have the stuff with you needed to pass it?
It was already, they had already put it in me. And so just walking around and doing
like
it, you would
enema?
never know. It's called a D&D procedure.
Okay.
And they stick something up there. And it's supposed to just bring everything down.
Okay.
And so because it was so early, they didn't have to go in with surgically to do it. And so you just never knew. And I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta go pee. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh shit. It's like, what do you pray over the toilet? Like, it was odd. I just flushed it.
Okay.
Just think of the worst period in life. And then this huge ass blood clot comes out.
Okay. Yeah. But do you get flashbacks of?
No, like that, because like, it was like, I was sick to my stomach. I was pissed. I was hurt. This one, it's funny because God shows up and shows you things when you're going through times, and what He has for me. And so, like, my big sister from undergrad, she got on a plane.
Your big sister?
Yes, my big sister in my organization.
Got it.
She got on a plane and was in Austin within 48 hours. And was like, what do you need? Where are you at? And was like, right. And I like, that just blew my mind. My aunt couldn't be there, but I remember her calling me and telling me, because she lost twins, and I think they were stillborn. And she told me, she was like, you know what? What's meant to be is meant to be. And this was not meant to be. And the way that she just put it, like, it was like, I can't control what I can't control. Mm-hmm. And I just had to let it go. But you still want to sit in your shit and be pissed and be hurt. And I was like, I guess I really can't have babies. I guess that fucking doctor was right. And I was like, oh, like, and then you look at yourself, well, hell, am I broken? And I got this person that want these kids. And so I don't know what they're thinking or what he's thinking. And not even 6 months later, we were pregnant again. And this one stuck like Chuck. And then that was the first child.
How long have you been married? What are your hashtag relationship goals? How have your births and miscarriages and family dynamics and relationships and ideals that you had coming into a marriage versus being in a marriage, and even something like seeing my dad's impact on the world and my parents and how they interacted. How does all this play into your marriage? And I know that's like a heavy loaded question, so go with what you heard.
Okay. So we've been married. We got married December 31st, 2011. So I'll let y'all do the math. And we, like I said, we met February of 2008. A big regret that we have is that we went straight to just living. We went straight to living and like living like how we live now, like working and paying bills, paying bills. We didn't travel a lot together. We didn't do things. We were just so busy trying to, okay, this is what we gotta do, this is what we gotta do. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because we're on the paths that we're on now, so I'm guessing it's good because we're both where we need to be. But we were just like, and I think that was we're on the millennial scale, but right at the front cusp. And that was a little bit of, being reared by baby boomers and whatnot that was still in us. Like, hey, you got to get established. You got to get this. You got to get that. And now Truman was like, bitch, we partying. Where you want to go this weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? Like, we got a job, but we leaving at this time. We'll be back in time for work on Monday. We didn't think like that. We was like, we got to work. We can't go on the weekend. Yes. So we fell in love, started doing all that great stuff. And it's what I will say is I know for me and my family, no one talked about this shit. Like, you saw it happen. You knew your parents were in love. In my instance, you knew one day the motherfuckers wasn't in love no more. And shit hit the fan. It was like, okay, he gone.
There's not a to-do manual.
Right. But not even a, hey, how do you feel about what's going on? Do you want to know what happened? Do you want to know what, like, people was putting shit together. Like, talk about in child private eye. Like, okay, well, I guess that this went wrong. And you don't know. And so you take that into your situation thinking, I don't want to be like that. But what do you want to be like? And then you come across the old folks that's like in their 80s and stuff. It's like, oh, we're celebrating 60 years of marriage. And you be like, so how'd you do it? And they just laugh inside. No, bitch, for real. How did you do it? And they just like, it's just like, we just fucking stayed. And that's the truth, because there's so much shit.
That's like, what I've heard from everybody. They're just like, we decided, like, it's almost like you decide to join a team. Uh-huh. Once you're on the team,
you don't leave.
Once you're in the gang, blood in, blood out. Yeah. So it's like one of those things, like, you decide to stay.
Loyalty. It's crazy. It's nothing like when you see how, like, in the NBA, people's like, oh, but we'll make the dream team, we leave it, and they go to the arch nemesis of teams, like the KD move. How do you go from the team that puts you out, literally the next day, like, oh, I signed with them, and I'll be over there next year, going to get my ring. Nah, you can't leave. Like, right. You're there, and people don't talk about it. And they don't talk about it in the sense like it's another realm of love, because you have to, it's going to be times where you don't like your partner. Like you just like, I really want to choke slam this dude. He probably like, I want to throw hot grease on your ass or something like, cause you see this person when they're at their worst, when they frustrated, when they happy, and sometimes you get tired of the motherfuckers, and but you still love them, and you love the thought of them, but you may not love them right then, or the thought of them right then, and you gotta be able to stick through that and be like, I'm gonna come home tonight. I need to come home tonight, but no one tells you how to do that, and when it gets at the lowest point, you're like, oh, this is when it's time to leave, and it's not. That's when it's time to stay and to figure it out, and it's crazy because when you're in the hole, you can never see, oh, there's light on the other side until you get on the other side. So it has not been this easy thing. And like people see pictures on my husband's social media, or they'll see it and they'll text me, oh, your relationship goals. And ask anyone who texts me that shit, I'll be like, this shit ain't sweet. I was like, no, we're not. I was like, this is real work. It's the hardest work I've ever had to do. And I'm not knocking my husband. I'm not knocking our union. I'm just telling people that the picture that you're seeing is a moment in time. And don't try to be my goal. Be your goal. What's going to make you happy? Because at the end of the day, it's times where we don't like each other. It's times where we have come to the point where we question, was this a good move? Did we bring kids into something that wasn't okay? But we've stayed. And we made the conscious decision that we're going to stay. Even if we do, well, go ahead and get a fucking divorce thing. Because it's gotten to that, like, knockdown drag. I was like, I'm going, bitch. I'm going. Bye, bitch. And see you later. And it's just like, but at the end of the day, it's like, I drove around the corner. I ain't got nowhere to go. Come back. We'll sleep on the couch. and you still, but you are at a point to where there's so much going on that you lose sight of each other, you lose sight of that courtship, and you lose sight of what you have defined what love will be for y'all, and how it's gonna get you to the other end. And I think like a long time ago, and I think we were in a really, really tough spot, I had posted something, this was when I was on social media, because I'm currently off, about black love, because I am married to a black chocolate man, and I talked about it in the essence, in the sense of like, we don't talk about our stories, and we don't share, and we don't pass down, our missteps and what happened, and be truthful with our kids. Like, this is what I did, this is what I didn't do. This is, where I failed. This is where I don't want you to fall. This is how you should be in this space. This is how you shouldn't be in this space. And we all like trying to fill this shit out in the dark. Like all my other married friends are like, nigga, I didn't think this shit was gonna be like this. It's like you have this fictitious, like commercialized sense of love.
Yeah. What do you get out of your marriage?
The benefit of my marriage for me is everything that, how can I word this? That I secretly wanted but didn't want because I saw went to shambles, and it's happening.
It's happening. What's happening?
Like, not going to shambles, but I didn't want to do it. My main reason for not like wanting to get married or have kids is because I saw I fail, and I didn't want to, like, this shit ain't gonna work. I don't, like, this is not cool. I don't want to do that. But I secretly did, but I didn't want to. And the secret came nothing until I met the person. I was like, okay, this shit can really happen. And so, and you meet them, and it's like, okay, and this is really happening, but this is how it happens. And so you're going through your hard times and stuff, and you're sticking, and it's like, oh, this shit is, it can work. Like, I can see forever. And that's, we always keep saying to ourselves, even through like the hardest of times, is like, okay, we just trying to get to that point where we on the porch and we rocking. We probably putting one in the air, probably like 60, and we be like, hey,
we just did that shit.
Yep. And we on the other side coasting. And so
with a high five.
Right. And so that's like, but I secretly always wanted that, but always suppressed it because I was like, nah, that stuff don't work where I'm from. I don't want to do that.
What do you think of our color scale, and not only amongst us as friends view it, but just out in Black society and how our color scale is viewed? Forget the outside. And when I say outside, forget the white, Hispanic, Asian community. But when we're talking about Blacks, and that includes Afro Latino and Latinas and all that stuff, and we're talking about color scale. Where do you lie in that? How do you think about it? Where do you go with that?
I think all of our blacks are beautiful. All of the melanin is amazing. Even across the spectrum, across the board, and I think albinoism gets left out of the conversation, and it's so beautiful to me. And it's not even for me, and I haven't really come across too many white people who identify as albino, but I've come across a lot of black folks who do. And while I guess the definition or whatever is, I'm not gonna lie and tell you, but just an educated guess about, the free from pigmentation or whatever, I still see it, and I could tell like that's a black person.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to me. It's not, and that is in the color scheme of blackness for me. It's not like, oh, it's off here. No, that's my marker, and I just keep on coming, and I go up, and it's just gorgeous to me. So the lighter you were, it gave you a pass, and so you have to flip that, because all of that just got passed down, going from that time frame to present day. And even now, it's still the lighter you are, for some odd reason, it's this whole thing of, oh, you make me feel a little bit more comfortable, like the closer to whiteness, which is not cool. But it's this whole thing. It's funny because in my mind, and I don't, I really feel like people do things, and I could be honest, like it took me a lot to grow into who I am, and people are like, oh, are you mixed? Are you da-da-da-da? No, both my parents are black. Both their parents are black. Both their parents have dad are black. It don't get until like 4 and a half, 5 generations away from me where you get a white woman, and she's not white, she's Swedish. And that's just on one side. And she fell in love with a black man. And then after that, you got indigenous men. And then it's black and black and black.
Do you realize that you're a shock factor when people meet you? Because you are a light-skinned black woman. And so the assumption is that, like you said, the comfort factor, right? So you get a pass into the room, but then when you come into the room, you become a shock factor.
I shit on their table.
Yeah, you do. And so is that something that you realize? And then 2, how do you use that to navigate spaces?
It's not, I don't even care. Like, I don't even.
But do you realize?
I do, and I've stopped. Because also, too, I'm not, just how I present is no longer inviting. So people can already tell off top. So, yeah, I may be, quote unquote, light skinned and close to making people feel comfortable or whatever the case may be, but my hair's not relaxed, and I'm not knocking my sisters that relax their hair, but for some odd reason that makes white folks feel comfortable when your hair is not quote unquote nappy or natural or has this natural curl or kink.
I like kink.
Right. I'm saying all of them because
you're coding
some
it.
people want to empower certain words, some don't, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, so I'm coming in, and it's not like this, oh, this is intentional. No, this is, I love me, and I can count on both hands how many times I had a relaxer and they were kitty perms throughout my life, because I have a grade of hair that it didn't really need it, but to fight humidity and not go poof, I used it, right? But I didn't use it as much because I was an athlete, and it made no sense to waste money getting your hair done when you're just gonna sweat it out. And so it was easier for me to just go natural and embrace it, and it felt good. But being natural, having tattoos in special spots that aren't welcome in the business room.
She got a tattoo on her neck, y'all.
Wearing the big earrings that I normally wear. It was so funny. I was playing the game against Louisiana Tech, and this heifer, I'm gonna call her that because of how she came at me on the court. And she, had her own identity issues or whatever. She was like, I guess she was trying to intimidate me or something. I'm at Grambling. They, sometimes they try to look down. It's a PWI, it's a HBCU.
Yeah.
But I want to look her up and see where she at right now. Because she was like, so what you going to do with your life with this tattoo on your neck? I just looked at her like, bitch, who are you?
And for those of y'all that don't know, PWI is a public white institution. And HBCU is historically black HB college and university.
And so I'm not going to be like, when you go into like, you know, I gotta be like this when I'm at work. I'm gonna be like this when I'm at work. I'm gonna be like this when I'm at home. I'm gonna be like this when I'm at the club. It's just, I'm not going to sacrifice my self-health, my sanity, my mental state to make you feel comfortable and you be okay. I'm just not. And so in that, there's some spaces that I will not work. I will not go into, because if it's that toxic for my body to be in that space, what toll is that gonna take on my body?
Right.
And so if it is one of those spaces, 9 times out of 10, I'm not in there. I strategically place myself, and I know I'm going where stuff is moving. And sometimes there is stuff, you know, there are places that are stagnant, but I know it just needs that little nudge. And that's where I'm going. I ain't got time to be hitting up against a wall that said, you know what, I've been here for 500 plus years. I'm not going nowhere. Okay, I'm gonna let you be where you be. I'm gonna come in through the other side and I'll go over there.
You are listening to the Lorraine Infinity Let's Talk podcast. That's LRI Let's Talk on Instagram. Hit me up and DM me with your comments and questions.
Who inspires you the most, and who do you hope to inspire with all your feminist, black woman, mother, doctoral, wifey type self?
Who inspires me the most? I think it's my kids. All of them.
A collective, yep. Why?
They're just so, they're not me. And I be thinking like, dude, that came out of my twat. Like, that's it. Like, they not destiny. And you would think that they would be like, they got it in them and I'm there, but they're their own little people and they own that shit. And like, even when I'm like not fucking with it, like they're like, nope, bitch, I'm still gonna be me.
They absolutely do.
And they still persist on being me. Like, I could be like, I'll get in my mood, but I want to be dealt with. Kind of like, oh hey mom, like go so much. She was like, okay mom, all right. Like, bitch, you're not fucking up my day. And I'll be like, I'm glad I didn't fuck up your day. And they just keep on going. And I was like, damn, I want to be like that when I grow up. So it would be them, and then in turn, I hope to inspire them. I like this degree, going to school, trying to do and be everywhere and everything is for them to have a better space, for them to, just like the ones before us did, for it not to be as bad as it is, even though I feel like we keep going back in time. And so I'm hoping that I'm that to them, and not this whole thing where we set up this whole system of, oh, well, we're these affluent, educated, I did it so they can have a choice to do it or not do it. But it's a choice that they can make, as opposed to not even having the choice to begin with. So,
how do you think the world's gonna change in the next decade, quarter century, half century, century? Like, because some of it you're not gonna see. Hell, you're not gonna see most of it. Let's be honest. And then your kids are gonna see it. And your kids are gonna see it. How do you, like, what do you think? What is it gonna look like? Technology, people, dress, recreational, drugs.
Yeah, I'm old school, so like the Jetsons is becoming a fucking reality.
It is.
It's becoming a real, you gotta understand, I grew up on the Flintstones and the Jetsons. Yeah, and so you like watching this cartoon, like, oh, I'm like,
yeah,
the same thing that Elroy used to roll in on. I was just on that in the airport, and we rolling down the thing like, doo-doo.
Or Back to the Future.
Right, Back to the Future. They already made this shit. Like, all like those things have come to fruition. And so I'm just like, I can only imagine. Just the other day, I was like, I wonder when cars gonna start hovering and flying. I'm like, who gonna get to do them shits first? Because the fast lanes and all that shit is always money. So I'm like, when they crash, is that shit gonna fall on us? Like, how that's gonna work? Like, I was thinking about that literally 3 days ago.
You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for, and mind you, like, I'm a black girl. I realize my magic and my melanin, and that, like, I don't need makeup. Hell, I'm waiting on Fifth Element. You remember Fifth Element?
Yep.
And when she's like, what was it? Multiplex. And she puts on a little makeup thing.
And it does it for
her. And it's you. Bitch. Bitch in the most empowering way ever. But, like, if we could just get that, I would be set because I don't need makeup, but the eyes, you could do so much fun stuff, makeup in the eyes, and just.
I always thought that was hot. I was like, that was
Okay, so what if you see somebody on the street, clearly you see they need help, and let's say that they are receptive to this help, this advice, or whatever it is. Let's say advice, because that's where I'm going. If you could give a piece of advice that you feel like would change somebody's world, and it doesn't have to be on the street. Hell, you've worked with students and been in student spaces. What would that piece of advice be? Just to somebody that you see that is receptive and open.
The biggest piece of advice I would say is that you possibly can't see what's ahead of you in your current state. I don't care what nobody says. You can't see what's ahead of you in your current state. No one has that type of foresight. And especially if you're in a bad spot or if you're stuck, things feel monotonous, things are changing, things may not be going your way. We do not have the foresight to see the other side, and we don't have the faith in the fact that our memories are short, and the fact that while you think this time is rough, the minute that it gets to the other side that you couldn't see, that shit will be a distant memory. And people say that shit all the time, like, what do you, I'll never forget this. And like, it's a lot of shit that is fading away, like, oh damn, did that happen? And it's because I'm on the other side of it. And you can't see nothing when you're in the fire. All you see is the flames. And so getting people to understand that, like, one, they got to stand in that flame, because you got to go through whatever crisis it is for you to get to that other side. So you got to stand in the flame. And whether you rise or walk through is going to be a testament to that flame, but then it's going to be whatever's on the other side of that, and you can't see it. And I think people try so much to invoke foresight, and it's going to drive you crazy. You can't. So I think in this new era, especially with a lot of the kids right now, the college students, some of my peers, it's instantaneous. It's the backlash of this instant lifestyle that you want quick results, and you forgetting that shit takes time. Anything great takes time, and you gotta put in the work. And sometimes the work is the flame.
What do you do for yourself?
So I just got back to doing that. For a long time, I wasn't doing things for myself, and I was depressed as a result. Because I was thinking that it would get done by other people, and it wasn't. And so, and I was expecting that, but not doing it for myself, and then holding resentment.
Expecting what?
Expecting other people to do for me what I thought I was doing for them, and to give me what I needed for myself instead of doing it for myself, and then being mad when I didn't get it.
But aren't those two different things? What you do for yourself and what you expect other people to do for you.
No, because when you're like, and more so, I'm thinking back at home and personally, and being in a marriage and being with kids, you become selfless, and you think that your partner sees you being selfless, that they're gonna pick up the slack and like do.
When you say you, are you referring to woman? You is just an individual human. Where are you at with you?
As a woman, I become selfless for my family. Like, put these things first, put their needs first, do. And you think that in the house that's seen. So it's like, hey, let's do this for mom, or let's do this for my wife, or she did this, let me do this. Let me push her, because I'm the type of person, I'm going to make sure everybody's taken care of in the house before I'm taken care of. And so I want somebody to do that for me. And it'd be like, hey, let's go do this for mom because she did this. Or let's take care of her. Let's push her to go do it because we know that she's not going to do it, because she's going to make sure that we're taken care of first. And it was like, nah, bitch, we're just going to use you. Like, all right, keep it coming. We want it. And I was like, you motherfuckers ain't shit.
So what do you do for yourself?
And so I just started, whether it was the big piece that kicked it off was last year. Around this time, I was like, I made it a point to get back into the gym. And I don't give two shits if it's raining, hail, sleet, snow, and I got the babies. Every morning we get up at 7-something. I'm getting them dressed. And we're going to the gym. They know, Mom, we're going to the gym. And they got daycare and we at the gym. So I get my time to get back into the feel of being athletic and doing something and just doing something for me, which started to help me feel better. And then it just started easing out to, oh, where are you going? Oh, going to get my nails done. Where are you going? Gotta get my eyebrows up. Keep getting the haircut. And I just slowly started slipping back into it. You talking about a bitch that never had her hair done in like 2 years. And I was just walking around with a ponytail. Like, shit was cute and it wasn't.
What do you celebrate in your friendships right now?
What do I celebrate? I celebrate this like profound sense of just amazingness and like who am I to be around, because all of my friends are doing some amazing things, and while they're going through their own battles and struggles, they are vulnerable, honest. And I know that they're not honest with everybody, so who am I that I get that space, and I take that like to heart, and I hold that near, and so
you hold what near?
The fact that I'm a sounding board for some things that don't go out to the world and that don't go out to everybody. I'm that person that's caught in crisis, and it's like, while you think will weigh heavy on you, it's like, it's a privilege because everyone's not caught in crisis. Everyone's not, not there. Because being in that, because it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people just like to celebrate the great. But like I just said, you got to stand in the fucking fire. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I'm in the fire with some of my friends is like,
dope to you.
It's dope because it's like, who them folks? Me, Shaq, me back in the big look, all of them people. You know what I'm talking about in the Bible. And they got thrown into the little furnace. I know the story.
Yeah, I got you.
Right. Just think if the nigga was in there by himself. How would that be? Like, the nigga, is Jesus really coming today? Like, he said he was. Like, now you in there talking to yourself. But he had some friends in the fire with him. And that's huge to me, because we all like be in the fire so much. And I really think like Black women in particular, or women of color in particular, are always in the fucking fire, and we've been taught to go through that shit by ourselves. And it's been so freeing being able to be sounding boards for each other, because it's not just me that's a sounding board, they're my sounding board. And so being able to just lay my shit bare and not be judged, mm-hmm. but to be celebrated in your fuck ups, and like, that you got this, you gonna come back. Like, that's rare. And so having somebody in the fucking furnace with you is like, nigga, it's hot. I know, but we're going to get to the other side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up. Is there anything that you'd like to say in your closing remarks, or tell me, or share with the listeners that we haven't kind of already touched on or went over?
Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to take risks. And that's risk in life, in love, in work, in play. Don't be afraid to get uncomfortable. You'll have a more fulfilling life that way.
That's dope. All right, y'all. So you just listened to my podcast with one of my close girlfriends, Destiny. And I thank you for listening. As always, tell your story, be your own brand, live your truth, and stand in your moment.
All right, y'all, my name is Destiny. I'm 34 years old. I hope y'all stand in the fire and that you embrace the flame. You just listen to my story as I live my truth and stand in my moment on the LRI Infinity Let's Talk podcast.
Have you ever looked at somebody or their circumstances and wondered, would I ever up and move for love? Is it worth it? What are my true passions, and how do I discover those while supporting the person that I love? Next time, my girl Sam will be sharing her journey and telling her story on the LRI Infinity Let's Talk podcast.
Let's talk.